What you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard. At no point in your rambling, incoherent response were you even close to anything that could be considered a rational thought. Everyone in this room is now dumber for having listened to it. I award you no points, and may God have mercy on your soul.
Nothing endangers today's democracy as much as the epidemic of stupidity. It may soon no longer be possible to mitigate the coming tsunami of stupidity. The worst thing is when stupidity is not noticed for a long time. This ignorance of one's own stupidity is a sign of self-blindness, the inability to reflect appropriately on oneself. This is the type of stupidity we're going to be addressing today. You may institutionally pick the low-hanging fruit of those who overtly act stupid and reckless, but the type of stupidity we're going to be addressing is willful ignorance. This is a choice to be stupid and is far more commonplace in today's political environment, financial environment, and social environment than you can imagine. This social infection is terrifyingly dangerous. You can see it and feel it in this unstable environment we're living in, the time of great uncertainty. It is this way because the uncontrollable amount of stupidity unleashed, choosing to be stupid. The core problem of stupidity is, after recognizing it, not then regretting it, and not then changing anything. In this sense, we are all stupid, but we differ in the ability and speed to draw conclusions, learn, and change behavior. If a man repeatedly falls for the same type of woman who then robs him financially, if a woman repeatedly chooses the type of alpha male who then turns out to be an asshole, this also has something to do with stupidity. In the broadest sense, in the narrower sense, it is about emotion and impulse control, the relationship between thinking, feeling, and acting, which is of great importance for stupid action. Modern stupidity is even worse than classic stupidity. While simple stupidity has been understood for thousands of years as a lack of intelligence and talent, postmodern stupidity is more difficult in the multimedia society. It represents a mixture of the diverse components, the key ones of which are conformism, striving for belonging, lack of knowledge structures, selective attention to information, ignorance of other information, and exaggerated emotionalized to the point of hysteria. Due to the immense spread of mass media communication with its unverified statements, deep fakes, and targeted manipulations, it is becoming increasingly difficult to protect children and young people in particular from stupidity. Today's propaganda techniques create a psychological totalitarianism of unimagined proportions. People are made to believe in lies that they still believe to be true even after the lie has been unmasked. That's how strong the suggestive power of propaganda can be. Through the supervised thinking of the social networks, but also through the one-dimensional of most media, especially public broadcasting, stupidity and renunciation of the use of reason are becoming more and more socially acceptable. The excessive users of social networks are not only becoming increasingly dumber and one-sidedly informed, emotionally heated and hostile to dissenters, but also more and more stupid. Digital experts and brain researchers speak of digital dementia to indicate that basic abilities such as rational critical thinking and self-reflection are increasingly falling by the wayside in social networks. We live in times when nonsense and lies are being produced on an unprecedented scale. The well-known German-Argentine doctor and social critic Esther Villar, who lives in London, formulated accordingly, modern modern stupidity is then not characterized by a lack of arithmetic or comprehension, but by a lack of creativity, lack of humor, coldness, and ruthlessness. In other words, the real nonsense is that 20 people can easily spread their willful stupidity to now millions. In this respect, modern stupidity has a much more intense effect than in earlier times. It makes more people stupider than ever before. This world puts stupid people in positions of power to a large extent, because many want to believe the same thing in order to feel strong and belonging. What most people think, however, is usually wrong in the long run, sometimes even dangerous. Evil people shape criminal policies and anti-social power structures. Stupid people follow them and carry out without reason what has been devised by the bad guys. This applies to dictatorships in particular, but unfortunately also to democracies. Stupidity becomes dangerous when it is combined with the exercise of power on a small scale, and especially on a large scale. In an article from Vice, they say, if you've had an inkling that everyone on Earth seems significantly dumber than they once were, you might not be wrong. Some smart people from the University of Michigan found that the human race has been struggling with its cognitive abilities. While it's definitely a vibe you can feel in the air, it's also noticeable in measurable statistical metrics, especially among young people. Specifically, the study, as reported by the Financial Times, found that regardless of age, people across the board are finding it more difficult to concentrate and losing their ability to reason and problem solve. The trend seems to have started around the mid-2010. The authors of the study note that we're not necessarily getting less intelligent. Instead, it seems there's other stuff soaking up our attention that isn't as intellectually beneficial. Lawrence J. Peter wrote, "Sometimes, I wonder whether the world is being run by smart people who are putting us on, or by imbeciles who really mean it. The clueless are so in love with their ignorance, disguised as knowledge, that they don't even have the idea of questioning their supposed knowledge. They are flooding the public media in a dangerous way because they jubilantly welcome all this in their uncritical, conformist, overall attitude. But I feel from the data that we gleaned that the love of stupidity, of willful ignorance, has spread to all corners of pop culture. A large majority worships stupidity. A large majority also elects stupidity. This same large majority seeks advice from the stupid. To prove this, look no further than the cast of characters that validates this reality, no further than the Cash Me Outside girl, Danielle Bregoli, also known as Bod Baby, has a history of behavioral issues. Recently, in a heated exchange, Bod Baby got into a physical altercation with her own mother. The women came to blows inside the rapper's home, and it's all on video, according to a Yahoo article. You can't make this stuff up, fighting with her own mother. But this is the mascot that is worshipped by a pop culture obsessed with idiocracy. Hallie Welch, Hawk Tuah Girl, is rose to prominence after being featured in a video interview. Her response is what made her go viral, where she said, "You gotta give him that Hawk Tuah and spit on that thing," she exclaimed. This list is by no means exhausted. These are the representatives of the stupid army, the flagships to be celebrated. It is easy to see the humorous side of this. If this was just a one-off phenomena, not a normalization of psychological norms. The question now is, how can you protect yourself from the epidemic of stupidity And how do you know you're not affected by stupidity? Well, it's easy. One word: history. That's right, history teaches us exactly what stupid people have done in the past. As we know, history repeats itself. By learning from history and from those who have taken courses that were destructive to themselves, you could avoid those stupid disasters, thus escaping the traps of stupidity itself. But as you know, ignorance is bliss. Remaining stupid is easy, allows you to escape responsibility. That's especially the case today. Why? Because history has been diluted. It's viewed as a construct of man. It is dismissed as being subjective, according to the stupid. History has been rejected. Let me make it clear. Most of the issues that America is facing today is from the stupid epidemic. Most of the issues we face are rooted in worship of the stupidity. The obesity epidemic in America is a product of stupidity, where 75% of Americans are overweight or obese because they do not know how to eat, or what to eat, when to exercise, or how many calories they should eat per day. Politics is another one. It's failing because of stupidity. People vote on emotions, not facts. They vote along party lines. Most people don't even know the policies that they're voting for. So stupidity has led us to the lesser of two evils outcomes. Stupidity has destroyed relationships, families, the political system, the health system, education system, and the financial system. Unchecked stupidity leads to thoughtless wars, so that all that is left now is the free fall, the thrill of us plummeting into the abyss, the weightless joy that comes from the escapism of reality, facts, logic, and reason. That is until eventually the impact removes the fantasy of stupidity, and we all will soon realize this as the world collapses under its own weight of stupidity. The famous quote from Forrest Gump, where he says,
"Stupid is as stupid does."